Hello, thank you again for joining us on the case of the Tin Soldier. My name is Bucksteve and I am on the case with my dear friend Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson as we try to solve the mystery of the case of the Tin Soldier. So basically, we did some research and just a short recap regarding the case. So basically, General Armstead was murdered at his home after a visit by an elderly gentleman with a foreign accent. The valet heard sounds of sword fight, found the general dead, and the suspect has run away. So right now, there are two possible motives that we have come out after reading the newspaper. So basically, the Polar Star Diamond. General Armstead, he did his research with. He did research on famous jewelries and diamonds. Damn, smoking cigarettes. But because Sherlock Holmes smokes, I think you should enjoy the finer things in life. Okay, so enough with the fake English accent. Anyway, so the Northgate and Company announces that the General Armstead was publishing a new chapter regarding one famous fabulous diamond, the Polar Star. So we'll probably go towards the Northgate and Company. We'll probably send the regulars in, or probably go there myself. So another possible motive would be the Waterloo ticket time, which basically only 6 suspects has available. So the 6 ticket was supposed to meet. The 6 ticket holders were supposed to meet at Langham Hotel on June 18. So unfortunately, General Armstead was murdered instead. So we've checked the notebook. Clue hints, nothing. We can get the hint from Dr. Watson, but no, we won't discuss it with Watson. Watson's a simpleton. So let's go to the directory. We want to go to Sir Jasper Meek. Probably see what he has on the case. Alright, let's send the detective. So Holmes sent Watson to discuss the passing of General Armstead.
Can you tell us what did him in, Sir Jasper?
A sword through the heart, a smart upward thrust.
So we got a sword in the upper thrust. Okay. So we can confirm that he was killed by a sword. No point going to I can't remember whether it would be Henry Ellis. Edward Halls. No, not Edward Halls. Murray. Yeah, he's the lab guy, right? So let's just send the detective. Again, Dr. Watson. Of course, we send Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson is good with medicine.
I'm here regarding the Armstead case. I take it this is the saber he had in his hand at the time of his death?
Aye, indeed it is. A lovely thing to behold, isn't it? Unfortunately, it yielded very little evidence. The top half had traces of dust all along it, indicating it had been unused for quite some time. I did notice on the point a tiny amount of fresh blood. The general must have scratched his opponent. I'm sorry, Whitson. That's all the information to be gathered from this beautiful masterpiece. Ungar!
That's Watson, sir. Watson.
Can we get DNA traces from it? No. Apparently DNA wasn't invented during those times. So we can now ascertain that he was killed by the sword. Let's go to Inspector Lestrade, see what Scotland Yard has to say about the case. What insight
Do you
does?
people have nothing better to do with your time than to interfere in police matters? Well, don't bother with this one. We have the matter under control. I've compiled a list of suspects, which you may not see. I intend to ask each one for an alibi, and the suspect unable to supply one is our killer. Quite scientific, really.
What if
Now,
all of them could provide with an alibi? Dumb detective. So I guess we have to rule out one motive first. We're gonna rule out all the Waterloo ticket on time because I believe that the killer is not interested. He's a foreign gentleman and none of these guys are foreigners. I would believe so, unless it's Captain Robert Jugenson. So I don't know. very fishy. So we're gonna see Robert Jugan. Jugan. Let's go to Jugan. Robert Jugan. Send an irregular. Holmes casually. Yeah. Oh, he swung his cave at me. Okay, so we have to go there personally. Alright, we have to go and settle the case personally.
Did you know General Armstead?
Armpit, you say?
Stead. Armstead.
Oh, Armstead. I knew that bloke. Jolly good fellow. Sat next to me at the last shindig back in '65. The 50th anniversary and all that rot. We had a grand old time swapping lies about our adventures on foreign shores. He swore by French damsels, but I argued for the China ladies. I hope they catch the death-rat who killed him and hang him proper.
Have you seen the General since the 1865 banquet?
I've never seen a general with a blanket.
No, since the banquet.
Oh.
I don't think he killed it. It's not possible. He doesn't have a foreign accent.
What are your plans for the Tontine money should you win it?
Spend as much of it as I can while I'm still alive and kicking, and leave the rest of it to the Seamen's Fund when I'm dead. Or some people think I should leave it to my only kin, me nephew, Booth Lacey. Never would, mind you. He's a bit of a laggard, has never done an honest day's work in his life. But I outlast the others and be found the next day with the skull bashed in. Look to Boone. He's sure to be holding a club in his hand.
Okay. So, he hasn't seen him, but he does have, this guy named Booth. Let's see, Booth. We don't have a guy named Booth here. Vladimir Botkin, how do you go to the next page? Nothing. Let's go see General Armstead. I want to see the scene of the crime first as well.
I found the general leaning over the display case. He had his saber in hand, the one that usually resides above the fireplace.
I understand he was a collector of military figures.
Yes, the display in the study shows the last great British charge that swept the French from Waterloo.
Is there any significance to the fact that the figure of Napoleon is facing backward?
Strange. Perhaps I should go and set it straight.
No, don't touch it. Not until the police have concluded their investigation.
Oh, yes, of course.
I also noticed the portrait over the display case.
The late Mrs. Armstead.
Do I detect a note of hostility?
I must admit we did not get on very well. But I might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on very well with anyone, including the General.
You mean they didn't marry for love?
Hardly. Lord Fitch, Mrs. Armstead's father, arranged the match. Her dowry was very generous. Lord Fitch would pay to any amount to ensure that he would not be left with a spinster daughter, especially such a nasty one.
If there was no love lost between them, why did he keep her portrait in his study?
Actually, it was put up there to needle Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. He never approved of the marriage. Even after her death, they were involved with mutual business affairs. They jointly owned stock or some such thing.
Tell me, do you know what the General was doing at the time the intruder arrived?
Yes, he was working on the new section of his book. The part that concerns the gem, the Polar Star. It was very interesting, really. It traces the ownership of the gem to the brother of Napoleon, to the Russian Count Rostov. Unfortunately, the gem was stolen from the Count 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, the General just received a letter from a Pierre Martin, who said that he was willing to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee.
Do you know where Mr. Martin might be found?
I believe he's staying at the Bridge House Hotel.
Did the General have any encounters with anyone out of the ordinary in the past several days?
Not really. An old friend of his has been in town, Jean-Paul Girard. Neither the General nor I have seen him in 40 years. In fact, they were going to meet this afternoon at the French embassy.
I'm obviously curious about the General's last visitor. Could you describe him, please?
He was an old man, a rather short fellow. He walked with a cane and carried a carpetbag.
Did he give a name?
No. He simply wanted to see the General, and he handed me a letter to take into him.
Did you read it?
No, it was in an envelope, rather yellowed with age, though I noticed it was addressed in a graceful hand to Captain Armstead, 12th Hussars, the General's old regiment. When the General read it, he went very pale. Then he asked me to admit the gentleman.
Tell me, when you finally got into the room from the garden, were the study doors still locked?
Yes.
I noticed that there is an 8-foot fence surrounding the garden, and that the only way into the garden or out of it is through the kitchen door or the study.
How terribly observant, Holmes.
Damn it, he's Sherlock Holmes, damn it, Watson. Okay, so there are two suspects. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back to our notes. Okay, our notebook. So, let's see here. So, nothing much. 10 points. 10 points. The irregulars visit Jurgen at home. Learn that Booth Lacey is Jurgen's nephew. So there is another suspect, Robert Jurgens, and of course Booth Lacey. But it is an old man. The suspect is an old man. An old man with a cane. And so David Sennett. So basically, Watson. Suspicious. I'll send an irregular just to check out. Stupid assholes. So, okay. So Booth Lacey is another suspect that's linked to Robert Jurgen. Of course, I don't think he has a motive if he see everybody dies, because Robert Jurgen's not gonna make known to him. But again, I would advise Jean Martin, Pierre Martin, and Pierre Martin. Of course, let's go talk to Pierre Martin. If I remember correctly, send an irregular. Okay, I'm just gonna go there.
I can't believe we came all this way when there are more important things to pursue.
Indeed, Holmes. I don't know what got into us.
So Pierre Martin is not here. What's it his name? Pierre Martin. Damn it. Oh dear, we are. Or maybe Jean. Let's go to all the list of names if I can remember correctly. David Sennett. We're just gonna talk to him. Remember the names again. Sorry about this.
Display case. He had his saber in hand, the one that usually resides above the fireplace.
I understand he was a collector of military figures.
Yes, the display in the study shows the last great British charge that swept the French from Waterloo.
Is there any significance to the fact that the figure of Napoleon is facing backward?
Strange. Perhaps I should go and set it straight.
No, don't touch it. Not until the police have concluded their investigation.
Oh, yes, of course.
I also noticed the portrait over the display case.
The late Mrs. Armstead.
Do I detect a note of hostility?
I must admit we did not get on very well. But I might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on very well with anyone, including the General.
You mean they didn't marry for love?
Hardly. Lord Fitch, Mrs. Armstead's father, arranged the match. Her dowry was very generous. Lord Fitch would have paid any amount to ensure that he would not be left with a spinster daughter, especially such a nasty one.
If there was no love lost between them, why did he keep her portrait in his study?
Actually, it was put up there to needle Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. He never approved of the marriage. Even after her death, they were involved with mutual business affairs. They jointly owned stock or some such thing.
Tell me, do you know what the General was doing at the time the intruder arrived?
Yes, he was working on the new section of his book, the part that concerns the gem, the Polar Star.
Okay, I'm gonna hear this.
Very interesting, really. It traces the ownership of the gem to the brother of Napoleon, to the Russian Count Rostov. Unfortunately, the gem was stolen from the Count 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, the General just received a letter from a Pierre Martin, who said that he was willing to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee.
Do you know where Mr. Montan might be found?
I believe he's staying at the Bridge House Hotel.
Did the General have any encounters with anyone out of the ordinary in the past several days?
Not really. An old friend of his has been in town, Jean-Paul Gerard. Neither the General nor I have seen him in 40 years. In fact, they were going to meet this afternoon.
Okay, so basically I got all the information again. The 12th Hussar. Let's see. Hussars. Hussar, 12th Hussar. Let's go to the Bridge House Hotel. Send any regulars. Okay. There's a fellow there. Probably Pierre Martin.
How in the world did you hear about it so soon, Mr. Holmes? The body's still warm. Couldn't have happened more than 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
What
shut up.
body? Well, the one what's upstairs in 203.
We're here for something else, actually. Looking for Pierre Martin.
Well, that's the very fellow what was done in.
Tell me, young man, do you know what transpired?
Well, Mr. Matton checked into the hotel on the 8th. He was a Frenchman. I didn't speak to him much.
Who discovered the body?
I did. Well, I came along to his room to deliver a wire. Here it is, sir.
Information still valuable. See me, Wells, Osborne, Norgate and Company.
We got another
Publishers.
name.
Tell me, did you see anyone suspicious hanging about?
No. No, sir. Well, actually, now that I think about it, there was a rather large man with a foreign accent. Russian, I think. He said that he wasn't sure about the address and that he'd only just arrived in London. He asked for Mr. Matton, and I sent him straight up. Well, he was rather well-spoken and well-mannered. I didn't think anything of it at the time. A few minutes later, he came down. He was practically running. I saw him go out the front door and hail a cab.
Was there anything amiss in the room?
I'll say. An inkwell was toppled on its side, left an awful mess on the carpet. Big blue spots and inky footprints right the way to the door. The manager will be in a fret when he sees it. Fortunately, there was no blood.
Perhaps he was strangled.
Okay. So we got more. Things have just started going badly. So Pierre Martin is dead. We got a guy named Wells Osborne. We can trace that lead, and a huge Russian man. Now we got another suspect, huge Russian man. Could be two murders at one go. Let's go to Lestrade then, see what he has.
Do you people have nothing better to do?
Well, he got nothing better to do. Well, okay, this is starting to go very, very suspicious. Let's go to Jean-Paul Gerard. Maybe he's the only lead left. Paul Gerard, G. Jean-Paul Gerard. Didn't say where he's staying. Okay. Things have gotten some Osborne. Let's go look for Osborne. Wells Osborne. Send the irregulars. Alright, send it out. We'll go in.
I can't believe we came all this way when there are...
Oh shit. So we probably have to go to the Northgate and company. We have to go in ourselves.
General Armstead's book has been a very controversial subject from the start.
I understand the original publication caused quite a stir among the public.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, you know, of course, that many of the treasures listed in the book had in fact been stolen by their present owners. That revelation caused quite a sensation, and we were delighted. The more libel suits that were pressed against us, the more the book sold.
May I ask why the General chose to revise an already successful book?
There was one piece of critical information missing from the first edition. It was the whereabouts of a fabulous diamond called the Polar Star.
Seems to be a very popular gem.
Indeed. So you can imagine his excitement when last March he received a letter from a Frenchman by the name of Pierre Martin, who claimed to know where the diamond was. He had even provided a detailed description of how the gem was stolen from its last known owner, a Russian fella, a Count Rostov. He said the thief was an Englishman.
Might you know his name?
Martin wouldn't tell unless we paid. As I understand, he was in town a day or so ago and had tried to set up a meeting with the General.
He's dead.
Unfortunately, I don't believe they had a chance to meet.
Okay, so we got another name, this Count Rostov. So we know that's a Russian involved. So probably this Count Rostov. Very suspicious. Let's go find this Count Rostov fellow. Rostov. Let's go to the Russian embassy. French embassy. That's where they say Jean-Paul Gerard is there.
Varney and I spent over a year quartered together in France in War College. We became the best of friends.
Did you know much of the General's personal life at the time?
He always put the rest of us to shame in the matters of love. Said it was because we had no horse face to spur us on.
Did the General have a passion for horses?
Mon Dieu, no. He was engaged to a terribly unattractive woman by the name of Mary Fitch. Behind her back, that's what he called her. Horseface.
How dreadful. Whatever became of her?
She eventually became Mrs. Armstead and brought her great fortune to the marriage. I believe that Varney looked upon his stay in France as his last great fling.
Are you saying that there was no particular woman at the time?
I did not say that. There was one, but I never met her. My little flower, he called her. I remember one night he could not sleep. He was slightly drunk, and he kept rambling on about promises that must be kept and promises that couldn't be. Finally, he collapsed on the bed with such sadness in his eyes I will never forget it. Ma Fleurette, he said.
Very touching.
Have you seen much of the General over the years?
We have always maintained our
Fleurette?
friendship through correspondence, until last week, that is. It was the first time we had seen each other in over 40 years. We had supper, and then went to see the French actor Philippe Arnaud perform. The General commented that my presence beside him while French was being spoken reminded him of the old days.
So your visit went well?
Exceedingly well.
Can you think of anything that might have been troubling him?
No, the General was in excellent spirits. He joked about the upcoming Tontine celebration at the Langham, and he was very enthusiastic about the new information concerning the Polar Star. In fact, this week he was supposed to meet with a countryman of mine about it. It is hard to believe that my good friend is gone.
As we go on to the case, we got more names. I believe this Fleurette person is probably involved. I'll probably go and talk to the Foreign Office. Quentin Hawk, see what new information he has for me.
General Armstead. Believe I know that name in connection with the Polar Star Diamond.
Oh, this
Believe
is
it was
Hawks.
once owned by the Russian Count Rostov, some rich old duffer. Towards the end of '87, somebody pinched it.
Do you happen to know who?
Nobody knows for certain, mind you, but the word on the street was the thief was a Frenchie by the name of Andre Martin. Had quite a reputation as a jewel thief, he did, though his reputation was based mostly on rumor. Just before the Polar Star was lifted, he had been seen in St. Petersburg. A few months later, his body was found floating in the Thames.
Drowned?
No, he had been strangled. The crime was never solved, and the diamond was never found.
So our same strangler probably strangled Pure Martin. Let's see. Andre Mart. Well, that guy's dead as well. So let's go to our notes and review the case. Let's go to the actor. Nah, no, we're not going to the actor. Let's see the directory for a while. I have a lot of names here that I need to clear. Jean-Paul Gerard, probably innocent. Innocent, I suppose. Person must have known him from the 12 Hussars. That's what I believe. Let's go talk to Philip Arnold, see if anything's wrong over there. Let's go. I'll go in myself.
I've rung the bell a half-dozen times and no one has come to the door.
Really, Watson? Next time I would appreciate it if you would thoroughly research your leads before you ask me to come along.
Really? Let's go review the notes again, sorry. So Martin was later found dead. Sent irregulars to Arnold Phillips. Theatre. Let's go to the theatre. Let's see. Directory, theatre. No. Probably go to the Russian Social Club.
Well, he certainly was a chatty fellow, but I got the distinct feeling that he had no idea why I came to this location.
The man was Russian, so most probably. Let's see. Alessandri. Let's see. Wait. He's the. Yep. Let's go talk to him. He's a foreign correspondent. Surely he knows something about the case.
Ellis, my good man, what can you tell us about the Tontine story?
Time does take its toll, doesn't it? Back in 1865, the Times sponsored a 50th anniversary banquet. I'm quite sure I wasn't out of my pram, but I understand there were 204 survivors at the time. Now there are only 6. Pardon me, 5. Now that the poor general has been skewered.
Okay, so he was very helpful. Let's see here. Edward Halls is the Quentin. I already met him. Murray. Somerset House is. Let's go to the Somerset House. I want to see whether Peter Dudley has changed his will.
Is there any mention of the Tontine Fund in the General's will?
None. It simply states that Farnsworth Armstead's entire estate is to be used to form the Armstead Foundation, an organization to be dedicated to the study of military history.
Oh, so most probably nothing regarding his will about it. Pike Langdale is the gossip column. Disraeli O'Brien. Let's go there ourselves and talk to him, though I doubt anything will do.
Sorry to disappoint you on this one, Holmes. I can't uncover a bit of incriminating information on a single one of the remaining Tontine ticket holders. All of those who led eventful lives are dead as a result. It appears the survivors have outlasted the others because they have led such quiet lives.
Okay. So, Porky, let's see if Porky knows anything.
Bloody shame it was about General Armstead's death.
How touching, Shinwell. You're really grieved to see him pass on.
Well, sure, I had me money on him. I should have trusted me instincts and gone with one of the ladies.
Captain Jurgens doesn't seem to have had much of a following, even at 25 to 1.
Nah, that's just Booth Lacey and his cronies, and that's really a sentimental bet. You see, Jurgens is Lacey's uncle.
I doubt Jurgen would kill him. It has to do with the... I don't know. Probably have to do with the Polar Star Diamond. Let's go to the library.
The librarian was kind enough to write down all the information. Evidently, tontine comes from the name of Lorenzo Tonti, the Neapolitan banker who introduced the system into France in the 17th century. The Battle of Waterloo took place on June 18, 1815. It is so named because it took place near the town of Waterloo in Belgium.
Duh.
The combined British and Prussian forces routed Napoleon's army, proved to be his final and worst defeat.
Dear Watson, whatever would I do without you?
Heaven only knows, Holmes.
Nothing much. Okay, so that's out of the way. Pike Langdale is let's see what Pike has to say.
The good general married into a considerable fortune when he took Lord Finch's spinster daughter Mary off his hands. Mary's brother, the present Lord Finch, was opposed to the marriage from the very beginning, and there was still considerable friction between him and the general. But through holdings which the general inherited from Mary, he and his former brother-in-law were in business together. Ah, the ironies of life, eh?
Why do you think Malcolm Fitch was so opposed to the marriage?
Well, I'm not sure, but it had something to do with the general's reputation with the ladies. Of course, this was before my time. Now, I'm not certain he can be of any help to you, but you might want to check with my illustrious predecessor, Mr. Lloyd Shoemaker.
I'll make a note of that.
Lloyd
You know, of
Shoemaker.
course, the general wrote a book about art collectors and included some less than chivalrous details about how a few of them had come by their collections. One man, Carson Cabot, a gem collector, was quite incensed by being so named. In fact, he accosted Armstead and fractured the general's collarbone.
I understand that the general was going to include a chapter on the Polar Star Diamond in his revised book. Would you happen to know if Cabot had anything to do with that particular gem?
Well, I can't be certain, but being the collector he is, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't already have it in his possession.
I wouldn't be surprised as well. Alright, so I come up with a name, Carson Cabot, but I'm gonna look to this Shoemaker first. Just get the tontine work ticket thing out of the equation. Let's see. Lloyd Shoemaker, send a detective.
Langdale Pike told us you might be able to help us.
And how is Langdale these days? Has he lost his job? Or perhaps you're here to tell me that he's succumbing to some rare disease?
Oh, heavens no. You'll be happy to know he's in the very pink of health.
Oh, I'm sure you have no idea how that makes me feel.
Mr. Shoemaker, the reason we're here is to ask about General Farnsworth Armstead and the circumstances of his marriage to Mary Fitch. Have you any recollections that might help us?
Miss Mary Fitch. As I remember it, Lord Fitch was in a dither to marry off his daughter. Auction off might be more appropriate, actually.
And Armstead was the highest bidder?
Suffice it to say that despite a reputation as a randy dandy, Armstead's career prospects were bright, and that seemed to be enough of a recommendation for Lord Fitch. The girl's brother was very much against the match and did everything he could to break it up. Soon after the engagement was announced, Armstead went on a tour of duty in France, where he had an affair with a young French girl.
I want to know the name of the girl.
She became pregnant with his child. Positively scandalous.
Oh, scandalous. Oh, okay. Things are starting to take shape here. So, Florette. Do you have that name? "12 Hussars." Let's see, under 12. Do you have a 12 Hussars here? Nope. Right. We'll look at Carson Cabot later, but I want to go and explore. Whoever knows this, probably Malcolm Fitch knows the story. We'll go and talk to him.
I admit I strongly disliked Armstead. He was a cad who made my sister's life miserable. I argued at length with my father against the marriage, but to no avail.
But what was your sister's opinion at the time?
Well, unfortunately, Mary was not the attractive sort who had scores of suitors. My father was afraid she'd be left a spinster. The engagement was arranged just before Armstead went to France. During the year he was gone, I had him watched and discovered he was in the thick of some scandal involving a young French girl.
And you told your father?
Well, he wouldn't listen. I even went so far as to give the story to the newspapers. But my father got wind of it and used his influence to prevent its publication.
Which newspaper
I
did
would
you
have done
send?
anything to keep my sister away from that man.
Including murder?
Why, that's preposterous. Well, surely you don't think...
I don't think so.
I was scheduled to meet with Armstead today. But you see, my wife took ill. I spent the whole morning attending to her here until Dr. Ainstree arrived at around 11 o'clock.
Let's confirm that story, just to get it out of the way. Ainstree, sending the regular. So he saw Lord Fitch around 10 o'clock. He said 11. So he's still a suspect? Shit. Hey. Right, let's go to publications. Newspaper, London Times.
Ellis, my good man, what can you tell us about...
I already went here. Okay, so we're right now in the conundrum. We'll check out the story regarding Pierre Rostov, and Dr. Einstein is telling me that
We understand you were summoned to Lord Fitch's residence this morning.
Quite right. I received the message at around 9 o'clock and arrived at their home by 10. Lord Fitch met me at the door.
he wasn't there. Let's go talk.
I admit I strongly disliked Armstead.
He got business deals with him. Oh dear. He seems to be in a conundrum. Well, I guess that should be it for today. It looks like we got a list of names. We're trying to chase down the Tontine affair, but most probably it's not related to the Waterloo Tontine ticket. I believe we can cross that one out, because even though he was the youngest, it's hard to say. Maybe inheritance wise. Well, Lord Fitch as a motive. Oh well. I guess that's that. So we'll end this episode with a recap. So again, General Armstead was murdered at his home. The suspect was an elderly gentleman, of course, and right now the motive are probably the Polar Star Diamond scenario where he was supposed to be announcing a new art chapter regarding the Polar Star Diamond, its whereabouts and stuff. Basically, the suspect do fit the story. Again, the Waterloo ticket on time. I haven't chased that story much, but I believe it has to be something related to the Polar Star Diamond. Inheritance-wise, Lord Fitch, we've interviewed Lord Fitch. He said he was supposed to meet General Armstead, but in the end, they did not meet up, according to them, because according to him, his wife was sick. But his story doesn't link. His alibi isn't really that strong. So, but surely, even if he was the one who killed him, David Sennett would know. Well, I guess that's it for the story. Next time you guys joined us, we're going to go chase after the Polar Star Diamond lead that we have, probably after Carson Cabot, and then probably see if we can go after this Floret girl, see if we can shed some light, though I still believe it's more likely due to the Polar Star Diamond. Anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Buck Steve. Bye bye.